Greetings, all! Today, we'll be examining the bug fighting type Ultra Beast Buzzwole, the Swollen Pokémon. Powerful in appearance alone and more than capable of decimating anything without strong physical defenses, Buzzwole are incredible alien life forms that can render even the strongest of fighters weak shells of themselves with a single jab.
Buzzwole possess a black and red exoskeleton of varying shades and hues, with various spikes along its structure and 4 small legs used for support on the ground. They are easily identified by their massive muscular body, small wings, coiled waist, silver tubes for pumping liquid throughout their body, and 5-fingered hands, their head having the shape of a squash dome, with a black rim, 2 long red antennae, small black eyes, and a large steel-grade proboscis they use for feeding. Their rippling body is filled with a viscous red liquid that pumps up their frame and makes them look larger and more muscular as the volume of the fluid in their body increases.
Buzzwole are apparently common organisms in their home world, much as mosquitoes are here, and they bear a striking resemblance to said insects in their form. But their body proportions are radically different and grant them a humanoid form that is fascinating yet incredibly bizarre and seemingly unnatural.
The bodies of these creatures are almost entirely made out of muscle tissue, and the muscles are filled with a thick, viscous red liquid of some kind, potentially the creature's own blood, that is pumped through the body through a series of silver-colored veins and makes their muscles so thick and dense that they effectively are harder than steel, in turn granting them an incredibly high base defense stat that is nearly unmatched by other bug-type Pokemon. This is further accentuated by their incredibly sturdy and resilient exoskeleton, which not only helps to heat-proof their bodies and make it possible for them to live within volcanoes where they make their nesting grounds, but are also resilient enough to be an imposing defensive shield while still being flexible enough to support the weight of the liquid stored in their muscles and the motion of it pumping through their body, even where the exoskeleton is visibly translucent.
The 4 stilt-like limbs that support the beasts are mostly immovable and thus make excellent tools for pinning down prey, with Buzzwole relying on flying to move around, despite the fact that their wings are actually quite small. The exact explanation behind their amazing aerodynamic abilities is still a mystery.
The proboscis of the creatures is harder than diamond, allowing it to puncture even the thickest of hides, and the 2 eyes are practically glued to each other in the front of their face, which actually seems to help with their depth perception and grants them a wide angle of sight that few other creatures possess. The incredible physical power of these creatures cannot be understated, as there have been reports of witnesses seeing these hulking insects demolishing a dump truck with a single punch. And considering that the average dump truck weighs over 26,000 pounds, this is a devastating feat of strength that very few Pokemon are capable of matching. These creatures mainly subsist off of the vital fluids of the life forms, using their immense physical strength to batter them into submission before piercing their flesh with its proboscis and sucking out their vital fluids. In doing this, a chemical reaction is triggered in their bodies that breaks down the fluids they have ingested, so their body can use their constituent chemical components to produce more of the red liquid that fills them, causing their muscles to grow in the process and increasing their power even more so. This only makes them that much more difficult to handle, as they are already a threat with their boxer-like fighting style and ability to learn powerful punching attacks and similar moves that take advantage of their great physical bulk. In addition, it is noted that when these creatures are exposed to the effects of the Beast Boost after initially entering this world, the fresh exposure to Ultra Wormhole energy has the effect of greatly raising their defense stat.
Although Buzzwole are incredibly dangerous to have to encounter, their behavior seems to suggest that they may be capable of exhibiting a level of intelligence that is beyond what science can currently understand.
These strange insects have a habit of always flexing their swollen muscles and striking some sort of pose with their bodies before they perform any real action, even when it comes to attacking, though this does not make their offensive power any less useful as a result. It is believed that this may be the creature's attempt to either display their power boastfully to intimidate others or, as more reports are beginning to suggest, that they flex and display these postures as a way of communicating with other life forms. However, there has been little progress made in trying to understand what these poses mean, and thus has proven to be difficult to make understandable contact with them. Even other Pokemon from this world have a hard time understanding what they are communicating, as such purely visual language is rather uncommon in the natural world outside of humans. However, what can be told is that despite their massive frames and intimidating forms, these creatures are not all that dangerous to other life forms aside from their prey. In fact, They tend to be very gentle and caring towards other bug-type Pokemon, and have never been observed attempting to make a meal out of any bug-type that is presented to them. This seems to suggest that they may be able to identify and bond with other creatures that at least feel or look similar to them, something that is considered to be unprecedented among Ultra Beasts. Research is currently underway to understand this behavior and try to use it to potentially establish friendly relationships with the specimens in captivity, to learn more from them, and perhaps even develop a rudimentary translation system for communicating with them. Regardless of how these studies turn out in the future, it can still be said that Buzzwole have powerful forms that more than benefit from their natural beast boost ability, and looking at their stats more than demonstrates this, as well they are severely lacking in the way of special attributes, and thus have below average base special attack and special defense stats for fully evolved bug and fighting type Pokemon. They are incredibly strong physically and have plenty of stamina to them, combined with decent movement speeds, possessing an above average base speed stat for fully evolved bug type Pokemon, and above average base HP, attack and defense stats for fully evolved Pokemon of both of their types, granting them the highest base HP and attack stats out of all bug type Pokemon, the highest base defense stat out of all non-legendary fighting type Pokemon, and the highest base stat total out of all non-legendary bug and fighting type Pokemon, tied with Pheromosa, easily making them imposing beasts not to be trifled with in any situation.
Personally, I'm not exactly a fan of muscleheads, and these things take it to the extreme. Like, I get wanting to be in peak physical condition, sure, but these bugs take it to a whole new level, and not exactly one I find much favor in, to be honest. Still, I recognize that while the most basic of special attacks can deal considerable damage to them, they are solid fighters that can take plenty of hits and deliver them back with incredible force. They might not always be that easy to understand, but their actions can certainly speak much louder than any sort of words they could possibly convey. Make sure that you stay far away from their front though, as all it takes is a single jab from their proboscis to likely seal your fate and render you on the verge of, if not already at the doors of, a painful death.
With more raw power at their disposal than most other insects, and the physical form needed to make juice out of most opponents, Buzzwole are powerful opponents that can make themselves a dire threat to anyone who doesn't have special attacks to fight them off with. The chances of finding one of these creatures might be incredibly slim, but if one does decide to land near you in search of a meal, you best be ready to fight for your life.
Just do yourself a favor and try to keep your distance from them. Otherwise, you might find out what it feels like to be a prune after one of these mega macho bugs gives you a large prick and feasts on you like a vacuum cleaner over a trash pile.
Thank you all for watching this video. It is always a pleasure to help teach others about the world of Pokemon and the many facets of it that exist in both the world we call home and the world they call home. If you'd like, please leave a comment and subscribe and ring the bell to this channel to get regular updates on content and anything else that might be going on. You can find me and my written work on DeviantArt under the name Utitus, and be informed of information and content uploads on my Twitter page and my Patreon page. Donations are always welcome. Always remember, the world of Pokemon is a vast and varied place, and there's no telling what secrets might be hiding just around the corner. So keep watch, stay vigilant, and always prepare for the unexpected. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of the day.